to say I think The Expendables 3 is probably the best in the franchise. But does that mean it's a good movie? Welcome to the review of Expendables 3. Now, like I said, I did actually like this movie, the best out of all 3 films that we have so far. But I have to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of the first 2. Now, the plot is quite similar, like you're going to expect. Basically, it follows Stallone's group of ageing mercenaries as they find out one of their compatriots that they thought long dead, played by Mel Gibson, is actually alive and has actually turned to the dark side, has become some kind of weapons dealer. And of course, there's bad blood between them. Stallone is feeling that his guys are kind of really sort of ending their sort of career as mercenaries and pretty much retires them and recruits a bunch of kind of younger recruits who he takes in to try and capture Mel Gibson's character. Of course, they get captured and then it's off to his original team to try and rescue the young recruits and stop Mel Gibson and his nefarious plan. And that's pretty much the plot. But this franchise really is kind of the unique selling point is these bunch of old action stars really sort of coming together and kind of in one movie that we haven't seen before. And this is no exception. And we have a few new faces. Like I've mentioned, we have Mel Gibson, who plays the bad guy, who I think is actually the best thing in this film. But we also have Wesley fresh out his prison sentence for tax evasion, which they actually make a joke about in this movie. We also have Kelsey Grammer, but he's not really part of the action. He's more of a kind of a bureaucrat, so don't worry too much about that. And you also have Harrison Ford as well, who has a surprisingly bigger part than I thought he actually would have. And you've also got Antonio Banderas as well, who kind of pops up as possibly the most random character. Add to that, you've basically got a kind of bunch of fresh faces as well, some MMA fighters. You've got Alan Lutz, Ronda Rousey as the kind of the first female expendable. I have to say he's probably the weakest actor here, and her lines were very badly delivered, I've got to be honest. So as much as you're good at the action scenes, acting is not the strong suit here. So there's lots of stunts, lots of explosions as you would expect with an Expendables film, and it's pretty much from start to finish. So if you're a fan of kind of mindless action, then you're going to love this film. I actually had some problems with this. Now, one of the things that kind of was sort of ticking over in my mind as I was watching this movie is we're told that Mel Gibson's character is the bad guy, and one of the characters is kind of given this sort of file, and we've sort of seen all these atrocities that he's committed and lots of bodies and stuff like that. But let me remind you the first scene of this film, if you have seen it, where they actually rescue Wesley Snipes' character from this kind of prison train that's kind of heading towards this prison. They kill hundreds of people to rescue one man. And these aren't your kind of like terrorists or anything like that. This is prison guards. These are these people who are doing their job, you know, like we have right here in England, people who are, you know, prison guards. These guys are the people that the Expendables were mowing down, probably in their hundreds, to rescue one man. And I couldn't really get past that, to be honest. It just seemed like it was so frivolous with just kind of like mowing down all of these people and really kind of not giving it really any sort of second thought. And like I said, you can kind of get away with it, I suppose, when they're sort of terrorists or anything like that. But we're just thinking these are, you know, government employees protecting prisoners like they've been just doing their jobs. I maybe have a problem with that. Maybe I'm thinking about that a little bit too much, to be honest. This is just a mindless action film, you can argue, but it bothered me. But like I said, the action is pretty good. It's fairly mindless. There's kind of they have toned down the humour a little bit, but there are still elements of it. You know, you've still got Arnie saying "get to the chopper" and things like that. I'm not going to do the impression, I'm sorry to say, although I can. Stuff like that, but it is toned down to a little bit, and the action is you know, exciting. But the problem I have with these sort of films is watching an Expendables film is like playing a video game on God mode, because as much as, you know, it's exciting and explosions, there's no real sense of danger. No one ever really gets killed, or if they do, it's a very, very minor character. I'm not going to kind of spoil it for you, but you can pretty much get what I'm saying here. It's like playing like a Call of Duty on God mode. So unfortunately, any kind of drama that you would kind of get from these sort of films is unfortunately just diluted. But it is a kind of, if you're like your mindless action films, then fine, you're gonna get on with it. If you like your previous Expendables films, you're gonna like it. Like I said, I do think there are some kind of weak links in regards to acting, especially from Ronda Rousey, who I just don't think is very good at all. She stands out really badly. But Mel Gibson, on the other hand, does make a genuine menacing villain, and I think he's by far the best villain they've had in this series so far. And this is really why I kind of put it maybe above the other two. As much as I like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Mel Gibson was was good in this, despite his kind of unpopularity sort of outside in the real world. Overall, though, I think it's pretty forgettable. It's not a film I would particularly worry about seeing ever again if I ever get the chance. I'm going to give this movie a 6.5 out of 10, probably a little bit above average if you like your kind of action films. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.